In this video, I really want to talk about a simple tip that a lot of us can do when we're out there fishing to help get a few more bites a day. And at times it can be the difference between catching fish and not catching fish. Now, this is something that is relatively easy. You can apply it to deep water fishing, in shallow water fishing, bank fishing even. And it's something that, again, it's easy to do, but we're not always intentional about doing things out there on the water. And so sometimes just being intentional about it can really help you to catch more bass. Now, before we get into that simple tip, this video is brought to you by Fin Fishing Apparel. And right now over at Fin Fishing, for the month of September 2025, I am running kind of a package deal over on the website. Right now you can get a USA made sun shirt like the one that I'm wearing right here, one of the only ones made in the US, and a duck hat, waterproof, highly durable hat that every time someone buys one, they end up buying a couple more of them. But right now the package of those two products is $64, which usually this is $90. So you get about a 30% savings on the package deal. So anyways, it's real easy. All you gotta do, add the sun shirt, the color that you want to cart, add the duck hat that you want the color to cart, and you will see that automatic discount at checkout. Shopping at Fin Fishing is truly the best way to help support this channel, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, what I really want to talk about today is angles. Angles are a big deal, and if you've been bass fishing for a while, you've probably heard this, but there have been so many different times out there on the water where a simple change in angle, a simple angle presentation has made the difference between catching fish and not catching fish. And it has been the difference for me on several occasions of catching the biggest fish in an area. I'm gonna actually talk to you about that. And when I'm talking about angles, I think that you know what I mean. When you are approaching a target, whether it is in shallow water or is in deep water, it could be a shallow water brush pile or a grass patch, or it could be a deep water rock pile, brush pile, grass patch as well. Whatever it may be, at times, a lot of us anglers are going to approach that target at the exact same angle. For example, you think about a standard dock. When you go out there and you are dock fishing, a lot of guys are going to kind of sit out off the dock a little bit and cast up underneath of the dock. You are casting from the shore, from deep water basically, to shallow water. That is typically what happens. A lot of times when we are fishing an offshore ledge or point, same thing. We position our boats in deep water and we cast up on to that shallow water and drag our baits off of that. But it's not just limited to those situations. There are tons of these type of things. For example, sometimes I have been to ponds before, and I know this is a weird thing, but because of where you come in at that pond and the angle that you come in, you are almost forced to always fish that pond in the same direction. Think about some of the favorite ponds that maybe you have fished in the past. Do you always fish them going around the exact same direction? Well, if you think about all this, bass see a lot of our lures coming from the exact same ways. And with as much pressure that we get and that we have out there on the water these days, bass are seeing lures presented to them the exact same way all the time. And they see their buddy Johnny who gets caught and never returns, or whatever it may be. But they somewhat get conditioned to the simple angle that we bring our baits. So one of the best things that any of us anglers can do in order to help generate bites is when we are approaching a target, try to think about the exact opposite way of which you would normally approach it. So if you're approaching that target and you're like, it feels right, try to do something that feels wrong. For example, maybe you're fishing that dock. Instead of going in deep water, casting up underneath that dock from that one angle, take your boat all the way around to the shallow part of that dock and cast out to the deep water. It's a simple angle change. You are going from, you don't even have to change your bait at times. It's simply tricking more or less the bass into thinking something is a little bit different. This is different. I don't know about this. And therefore, at times, they are more likely to bite it. I will never forget this day out on the water. One of my really good friends who I consider a very good bass fisherman, his name is Garrett Paquette. We were fishing a Bassmaster Open event down on the Tennessee River chain. He found a school of fish that he was like, dude, it is a giant school of fish. I cannot get them to bite. like cannot get them to bite. And he told me what they were catching them on. And I had a lot of the exact same baits. And so anyways, he showed me the spot. I went to that spot and I decided, for whatever dumb reason, like I can't even say that I was super intentional about it. It was just kind of the way that the wind was pushing me, and I thought, I might as well, type of thing. So that just goes to show you, not even I'm intentional about this stuff at times. But because of the way that the boat, the current and the waves are pushing me, I positioned my boat in shallow water. I cast it into the channel and I brought my bait up over this ledge. And I was catching fish very easily. And it was not that long after he had been there. But again, if you think about every angler who has been to that spot, what do? They sit in the channel, they cast up. It is a simple angle change, and it can apply to you no matter what you do. And a big thing that it can also really help you with is what I always call taking advantage of an area. There's a lot of times as a fisherman that we do find a stretch where there's a lot of bass. Maybe it is a stretch of bank where there's some laydowns on this bank, maybe some grass patches, whatever it may be, lily pads even. If you go down it one way and catch fish and have a good day, a lot of times what us anglers will do is we will go maybe fish a couple other places, and then later in the day we're like, let's go check that spot again where we caught them. And then guess what? You go back to that spot where you started and you work down it the exact same way, because we as anglers want to replicate what got us a lot of bites. But the thing is, as you're going down that bank, you are visually going to see a lot of the exact same targets that you saw the first time around, where you pitched and where you caught those fish. And more than likely, those fish that were in that area, they may have not moved a whole lot. So those areas that you pitched the first time around, you're putting the same bait in the exact same place again, and you're really not taking advantage of that area. Sometimes coming back through that stretch of bank from the opposite angle, from the opposite way, you are going to see differently how a laydown goes into a water. You're going to see high percentage areas a lot differently, and you're presenting those baits in a different manner. And I'm telling you what, I have learned over the years that anytime I try to refish a spot, unless it's like an insane amount of fish there, and it doesn't really matter, but even at times when there's an insane amount of fish, coming to that spot and fishing it at a different angle, you will be able to really take advantage of a spot, because you caught the fish from one angle where that was the first pass. The second pass, you catch them at a different angle. You're able to really double up on that particular spot. And there's just a lot of ways that you can really think about this. There's a lot of different ways that you can apply this to your fishing. Like I said, even as a bank angler, think of the angles that most guys are gonna take to hit a piece of cover or to hit a little corner. How can you be a little bit different? Sometimes it's not about our bait, it's all about presentation, and it's about switching up our angles. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out that fin fishing gear. Great package deal right now, and I will see you guys tomorrow.